My ability to receive was blocking my ability to receive abundance. The more that you can become an open receiver to hugs, love, support, just asking for help in your life, the more you will open up your muscle to actually receive abundance. It was just amazing to think I can manifest a happy life and all the things that I want to call in. I'm not stuck in this place where I'm unhappy, I'm feeling depressed. I was in a place where I could say, actually, I get to choose now, which was so powerful. Everybody has an off day, everybody has a bad day, and that is human. That is the law of polarity, and that is what we are here to experience. The polarity of all emotions, the polarity of all energy, to be able to know what happiness and high vibrational love feels like, for example. If you do have a bad day or you have a bad thought, that's not just going to instantly manifest. It's your long-term identities, beliefs, vibration that co-create that reality.
Hi and welcome to the show. This is your host Orion. Today I have with me Emma Mumford. She is UK's leading manifestation expert, a 4-time best-selling author and a renowned speaker. As the host of the #1 spirituality podcast on iTunes, Aligned Abundance, and a trusted law of attraction YouTuber, Emma has empowered hundreds of thousands of people worldwide to manifest their dream lives. With over a decade of experience, her transformational teaching blends mindset, energy work, and spiritual alignment, guiding others to step into the most abundant, magnetic selves. Emma is a best-selling author of Positively Wealthy, Hurt, Healing, Healed, and Manifesting Rituals, offering practical tools and insight to help people unlock their limitless potential. Through her books, coaching, and content, she helps others transform their dream life into an abundant reality. And today we talked about manifestation, how to become abundant, how to surrender, how to trust more, how to be even 10% more, allowing yourself to be receiving abundance, receiving the wealth. And by the way, if you don't manifest what you think you should manifest, that's okay too, because there are other things that you don't even know about, like soul contract and things that happen in your life that might be blocking you momentarily from achieving the abundance you want. Never give up, have fun, and you'll manifest your dreams because you deserve your dreams. And now, without further ado, on to the show. Hi, Emma. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Before we begin, maybe you can share with me one beautiful childhood memory.
Oh, I love this. Oh gosh, there's so many. I would just say going to the beach. I used to live by the coast. I still do, really, but I just loved going to the beach and just spending time in nature as a child.
Yeah, amazing. I love the beach. I feel like it's a place to cleanse and release any bad thing you carry with you. Just put your feet on the sand. That's it. You're good.
Grounded.
Yes. Maybe you can share a little bit about what you do and what brought you to become the expert that you are.
Yeah, so I have a very unconventional way that I got into spirituality and manifestation. So back in 2012, I always say it was almost like a non-spiritual awakening, but a spiritual awakening of some sorts. And basically I was working at a bank at the time here in the UK, and I was just falling into that career. I didn't plan to be a banker. Finance did not interest me in the slightest, just fell into that job. And during that time, I was experiencing anxiety and depression. I was experiencing a lot of mental health issues, which weren't new to me, but kind of intensified in that period of my life. So I was going along working in the bank. I was in my first not so great relationship at that time, and I was about 19 at the time. And essentially the partner that I was with left me in £7,000 worth of debt. It was then my legal responsibility to clear it, even though it was his debt that I had offered to clear with my bank loan to help him out. And obviously he would pay me back, but he never did pay me back. I'm sure that doesn't surprise anybody listening here. So yeah, at the age of 19, I was £7,000 in debt, couldn't turn up to the bank because I was just full of anxiety, being in debt myself, having to put people in debt every single day. I just knew that job was not in alignment for me and just not what my soul came here to do. But at that point, I would say I was probably atheist. I wouldn't say that I was spiritual or kind of into what I'm into now. Definitely not. So I found extreme couponing in my hour of need in that period of my life. And it's very random how it came into my life, but it absolutely helped me and supported me and got me out of that financial debt. And about 6 months later, my friends were like, Emma, you need to share this with people. Like, you've got this whole stock room, like in your spare room full of like products and coupons and all kinds of things. It looked like a supermarket, quite literally. And they were like, people need to know how to do this so they can get out of debt too. So obviously, as you do, you think, well, who am I to talk about coupons or money saving? Like, I've never had anybody come to me for that. I was just Emma. But after a lot of pestering, I started up a Facebook group, which was called Extreme Couponing and Deals UK. And within 6 months, it had got 100,000 followers. The UK press
Wow.
started involved. Yeah, it was like snowball, literally. And I was nicknamed the Coupon Queen by the UK press. I was presenting on This Morning, which is a big show here in the UK. And it just went a little bit wild, to be honest, to go from having panic attacks in the bathroom at bank to literally 6 to 8 months later being on national TV, helping people save money with their coupons. So, yeah, it was very not what I had planned at all. I definitely fell into that business as well. So I ran that business for 6 years, and fast forward to 2016 is when I had what I call my spiritual awakening. And at this point, I was definitely at rock bottom. My depression had got a lot worse over that time. I think my business was obviously, there were so many positives to it. I was helping people. I had such purpose, but equally the depression was still there. And I started having suicidal thoughts, and I just thought, I don't know what to do here. I don't know how to love myself. I don't know how to be happy. I don't know how other people are doing this. So I remember just looking out a window at kind of like 2 a.m. in the morning in my flat that I was in and just being like, God, help me. And again, I was probably atheist at that point. So I don't know what in me kind of had that come to my knees moment of, my soul was kind of stepping in, my ego was stepping back to be like, that there's got to be a better way to do things here. So a couple of days later, after that kind of prayer, I guess, the law of attraction and manifestation came into my life. I saw a video, I was scrolling on the internet, obviously trying to turn a negative situation into a positive, and this woman came up, and little did I know it was Louise Hay at the time. And talking about manifestation, the power of your thoughts. And I was like, oh yeah, like this all makes sense. And it wasn't like I was learning new information. It felt like it was a remembering of, oh, of course, that's how life works. And yeah, of course, that's how I've got here. So that's really how I came across manifestation. And then for about a year, I was introducing manifestation, just as a hobby, just as a passion on my YouTube channel, in my blog that I had. So I was still very much talking about money saving, and people loved it. I thought that people would think, oh, money saving and manifesting. No, they don't go together, but people absolutely loved it. So about a year in, I decided that it was time to put both of my feet on my spiritual path. And I manifested the buyer for my couponing business because that had got so big. It had about 500,000 followers by that point. So I was a one-man band. It needed a team of people. And I feel like I was keeping it small by just being myself running it. And also I knew that I could help people in such a bigger way, not just with money saving and getting out of debt, but feeling good and happy and positive as well. So I think my purpose kind of evolved with that. So I sold that business back in 2018. And I've been doing this ever since, teaching people how to manifest with the law of attraction. I'm an author, I'm a YouTuber, I've got a podcast, Aligned Abundance. And yeah, I absolutely love what I do.
That's beautiful. So how did you internally move from just Emma to Emma?
I don't think there was a process to it, if I'm honest, from anxious Emma to coupon queen Emma, who was on national TV, confident, delivering this money saving advice. I don't think there was work that happened because I was so unaware of self-development or anything like that at that time. I think it was just my passion fuel that I really wanted to help people get out of debt and, feel happier in their life. And then vice versa, when I stepped into my spiritual queen shoes, I think for me, it was just a case of the healing, the inner work, learning all these self-development tools and learning how to love myself that really allowed me to show up and shine and say, like, look, I've done this in my life. Like, this is how you can do this in your life too. And yeah, having the experience of YouTube and everything that I did before in my couponing business, of course, helped me because I had that confidence already there. But I definitely think the inner work piece is definitely what has shifted it all for me.
What's one piece of advice about manifestation changed your life?
Gosh, there's so many. I would say the thing that really hit home for me in those early days was around vibration and definitely around, you are the creator of your life. I think for me, that was quite a whoa, like what? We create our lives. We are the author of our lives. It felt like this kind of like big gift I'd been given of like, wow, like I get to plan my life out. And obviously as my manifestation unfolded, my journey, I realized, there's so much more that goes into that around, soul contracts and everything like that. But, at that point in my manifestation journey, it was just amazing to think, I can manifest a happy life and all the things that I want to call in. I'm not stuck in this place where I'm unhappy, I'm feeling depressed, my relationship had broke down. I was in a place where I could say, actually, I get to choose now, which was so powerful.
So let's say someone is listening right now at home and they're like, oh, wow, Emma, it worked for you, but I'm having a very bad day. It seems like all I manifest is not very good things. I understand that there is a law of attraction, but something's wrong with me. I can't achieve what I want to achieve right now. What would you tell them?
I think it's important, first of all, to know that things that happen to us in our life, especially I would say the bad things, the frustrating things, are not things that you're manifesting to yourself. We're not exempt from life. As I said earlier, I learned about the 7 laws of the universe. I learned about polarity. I learned about soul contracts. I learned about all these different spiritual concepts that absolutely flow into this piece of manifestation as well. So I think there's quite a misconception in the manifestation sphere of like, you're manifesting all your thoughts to you and you're manifesting all these bad things to you. And yes, we do create our reality, our vibration, our thoughts, our energy, our past traumas, absolutely to some degree are creating the reality we are in. But when bad things happen to us, I always say there's much more at play than just you manifested it. So I think it's really important, first of all, to hear that, to understand that yes, you can manifest and yes, you can create more positive, aspirational places that you want to be. You don't have to be stuck in that place, but also don't blame yourself because there's more to life than just the law of attraction. I think everybody just pigeonholes the law of attraction as the be all and end all, but there's so much more to this piece than just you manifested it. But in terms of if someone's feeling helpless and they, really want to get on the manifesting bandwagon and start seeing these shifts, what I really love to suggest is to get a life wheel off Google. You can get them in my books, you can get them off Google really easily, and just go through each area of your life. And you can rate it out of 10, 10 being I feel fully aligned and fully happy in that area, and 1 being I don't feel great in that area. And just go around the areas of the life wheel and you'll get a really good indication of where you're feeling aligned, where you're not, what feels good, what doesn't feel good in your life. Maybe it's your finances, maybe it's your relationships, maybe it's your spirituality, for example. And then once you have that data, you can then start making actionable points from that of, okay, if I don't feel at a 10 in my relationships, what would make me feel like a 10? Would that be having a loving partner? Would that be healing something within myself, for example? Is that to create more friendships in my life? So you start to then get manifestations and intentions from that piece of, okay, what would make that area in my life feel like a 10? So then you have your intentions, which is the first step in the manifestation process. And I teach 5 steps personally instead of 3. The original 3 steps are ask, believe, receive. But I feel there's so much more in that middle piece that people miss. And, for me, I kept getting stuck on that belief step of, okay, there's this huge jump here. What's in the middle? How do we get from believe to receive? So then once you've got your intentions from your life wheel, you can start to move along that 5-step process to start to bring these into your reality. But it starts with choice. And something as simple as an affirmation of, I choose to see this differently, or I choose to have a great day today. Universe, show me how good it gets to be, can just really start to kind of kickstart that manifestation process in a really small way that has a really powerful impact on your day.
Amazing. So do you think this is more with us connecting to the universe and the universe is showing us, or it's just our reticulate activating system where we see what we focus on?
I think it's both. I think there's room for both. Definitely it is that connection between us and the universe, us and our higher self, source, whatever you choose to resonate with, whatever feels true to you. So I think it's definitely both. But the law of attraction is like attracts like. So what we put out, how we show up to the mirror of life is what is being reflected back to us. So if we are showing up with a positive, optimistic attitude and energy, we are going to experience that throughout our day in various situations. Whereas if we're turning up to that mirror of life feeling grumpy, feeling negative, feeling pessimistic, then, we're going to start to experience people and situations that reflect that energy back to us. But it's important to know that not every human being, no human being can be high vibrational and positive 24/7. It's not possible. Everybody has an off day, everybody has a bad day, and that is human. That is the law of polarity, and that is what we are here to experience. The polarity of all emotions, the polarity of all energy, to be able to know what happiness and high vibrational love feels like, for example. So I think it's important to know, if you do have a bad day or you have a bad thought, for example, that's not just going to instantly manifest. It's your long-term identities, beliefs, vibration that co-create that reality.
Yes. And then without a rainy day, you'll never appreciate the sun. Absolutely. So, what are the 5 steps? Obviously, you're talking about 5 steps to manifestation. It's not just the three that you mentioned. What were they? Believe, receive. Don't remember.
So the original steps that are known in a lot of old school teachings is ask, believe, receive. But I believe the 5 steps are ask, believe, trust, let go, and receive. I don't know about you, but a lot of people I have found over the years have just said, this makes so much more sense to me. Like, yes, I need to trust. Yes, I need to meet the universe halfway. I need to take aligned action. Yes, I need to trust the process and the timing of my life. But then also that letting go piece, like letting go, I would arguably say is one of the most important steps in the process. Because if we're attached, if we're like, I need this, I want this, and we're still taking action, we're never stepping back to allow ourselves to truly receive our desire. So for me, that letting go piece was the absolute game changer.
Yes, it is. And for someone like me who likes to control things, how do I get into surrender? I would love to know the outcome of every moment of my day if I could.
I feel you. I was definitely in those shoes a few years ago. And, it's so natural for us as humans. We're wired to control. We're wired to want to have, the outcome, what is familiar to us because it feels safe. So absolutely letting go and surrendering was my biggest challenge in the process. And, over the years, that's been the one thing that has repeatedly shown up for me is learning how to trust, learning how to let go and surrender. So under that control piece for anybody, I would really say that it is your relationship with trust that needs to be built. And that begins within self. A lot of the time, people believe that trust is built externally of, I trust the universe. I trust the universe to bring this to me. But as we know, the inner always reflects the outer. So it's actually your trust within yourself first that must be mastered before it reflects into the outer through that trust with the universe, source, divine, your higher self. So I always ask my clients and people in my membership whenever they come to me and say, I can't let go, I can't surrender. I'm like, okay, what are you not trusting? And do you trust yourself to make good decisions, first of all? Do you trust yourself to manifest this desire? Do you trust yourself to hold and nurture this desire? Once it's here, do you trust yourself to look after it? And do you trust yourself to actually manifest this desire? So there's some great questions to get you started with that trust piece. And really, when you're going into the trust piece, then you can start to unpack, is there limiting beliefs and blocks there? Is there some past experiences where your trust was broken, where you couldn't trust what was happening, that stops this ability to trust the universe, trust that the universe can continually provide for you and support you. So yeah, as soon as it comes to letting go, I'm like, right, what is people's relationship with trust? And also what ties into it as well is, what is people's relationship with receiving? I know myself, I was awful at receiving, awful. I couldn't ask for support. I couldn't ask for help. I would do it all. I'd be the independent person. So, when the fifth step of the law of attraction process is receive. When I asked myself, am I an aligned receiver? I was like, oh, heck no, like absolutely not. At birthdays and Christmas, felt really awkward when people would give me presents. I would feel like I love to give, I love to buy presents for my loved ones, but opening them and receiving them, oh gosh, it gave me like, oh no, I hated it. And I couldn't work out why. And it was only when I went into the inner work piece, that it really opened up for me. My ability to receive was blocking my ability to receive abundance. They are absolutely tied together. And the more that you can become an open receiver to hugs, love, support, just asking for help in your life, the more you will open up your muscle to actually receive abundance. So I always challenge people, like, how can you receive 10% more this week? What is one thing you could ask for help or support with, or just allow yourself to receive? If you're out with a friend and they say, oh, I'll get this, don't just jump to say, no, I'll pay. Let your friend treat you and say, thank you. That would be lovely. So it definitely takes some time to open up to, say, yes, please, I want to receive, to whatever is being offered. But again, it's just catching yourself in those moments of, am I allowing myself to receive, or am I blocking, the universe showing up in a friend that wants to buy me a coffee? Am I blocking my partner supporting me? And that's how the universe is showing up to support me. So yeah, receiving and trusting definitely go hand in hand.
That's such a good reminder. I always I'm a giver. Like I like to be the one who does the thing, who helps. And yeah, and thank you for that. That's a great reminder. I'll do that. How can I receive 10% more this week? Or 100% more? Or a bazillion percent more? That's amazing. Your environment. So it's easier to feel more abundant when the environment is abundant, when you're around like high level masterminds and around like very influential people, and that it's almost like neuroing, where your mind is mimicking their mind and you're all in this bubble of abundance. But what happens if you change environments? And the environment is not abundance, the environment is lack of abundance, and that brings you down. How do you filter the outside world and not allow the environment to affect you for good or for bad, and just focus on your own manifestation?
Well, I think everybody's version of abundance is going to be different here, and what environments help them to feel abundant and wealthy versus lack or just negativity. So something I get asked a lot in my work is, some people's partners will be quite pessimistic or quite negative, or they have family members that are like negative and just pessimistic, and they really bring the vibe down. So I always suggest energetic protection daily if you can. And I have a meditation on my YouTube for this, which can just guide you. And then once you know it, you can do it yourself. But yeah, protecting your energy every single day is so important for like spiritual hygiene 101, but especially when you're around negative or pessimistic people who do doubt you or do put you down, or they just feel like a drain when you're around them. As spiritual people, we're very empathic. So we do pick up on energies around us. We pick up on stuff. If you go out in a really busy place, you come home, you might feel really like, oh God, I feel like I've just taken everything with me. So So energy protection is really important. It's almost like, you wouldn't go outside in the rain without an umbrella or like a coat on. So this is what your energy protection is, essentially just protecting your energy and your aura so that your energy is your own. And, you're not kind of like sucking in everything else from the external world. If you are in a busy place or you are around sort of people who do kind of lower that vibe for you. So yeah, energy protection and clearing, absolutely, I would say. But I think it's about working with what you have to make your environment feel abundant. It doesn't necessarily have to equate into things or people. People can be, I always look at it like, monks can be the happiest people alive and have nothing around them. It's all internal. It's all your mindset.
And it's all a story at the end of the day as well. Yes. So having a bubble of protection or some kind of energetic protection, for me, sometimes it feels like, wow, I have to be on guard 24/7 because I'm an empath and I feel everyone. So how do you have it without feeling like, oh gosh, I have to wear the protection again? It's kind of hard to live your life feeling like you need protection 24/7.
Well, I give myself a day off, like on a Sunday. I'm not sat there like, I have to do my energy protection. I think it's all about balance. It's exactly like a daily practice of consistency helps build that protection there. Like, once you have that consistency and you're doing these things regularly, if you miss a day or something happens, it's not going to be like, oh my God, I'm going to take on all of this energy. The consistency builds that resilience of your energy, your aura, and everything like that. So yeah, I absolutely understand that it feels like, oh, it's another thing to do, or like I've got to do this every day. But for me, I just see it as a part of life now, a part of my daily practice, my spiritual practice, where I wake up, I do gratitude, I do some meditation, I might pull an oracle card, I might do some EFT tapping. For me, that's a really self-loving act where I know that I am, supporting myself, I'm supporting my energy to be able to go out and, have a great day, manifest some positive things. So for me, I just see it really as a self-care practice of, I do this because I know what it feels like if I don't do it. And for me, that's really important that, I do protect my energy and that my energy is my own so that I can focus on my manifestations when I'm working. I know that I'm not taking things on. So for me, it is a mental health practice, but it's also that self-care practice.
To get to where you are today, did you have to do a lot of inner child work? Did you have to heal some things? What was your journey like?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I joke that I've pretty much tried most modalities at this point, apart from plant medicine. That's the only one I haven't tried. But yes, absolutely. Once I found the law of attraction, like many people in 2020 in lockdown, the inner work came up in full force for me. It actually started with inner child work. I discovered inner child work and I realized that there was absolutely work there to do. And I feel like when I came across manifesting and the law of attraction, there was never an emphasis on inner work at all. It was like, yeah, mindset and beliefs, but it was never like shadow work, inner work, nothing like that. So I guess you don't know what you don't know. So I never really kind of put much thought towards it until I had to, until it all came up in lockdown. And I was like, this is the time to address it all. This is the time to work through this. So yeah, started with inner child work. And then really over the years, I've tried so many different tools and modalities, EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, changed my life in so many ways. I got diagnosed with PTSD back in 2022. So for me, that was a modality that changed so much for me and allows me to have such an amazing quality of life now, free from depression, free from PTSD. So yeah, definitely cognitive tools have helped me. Spiritual tools have helped me. Past life work, Akashic records. I mean, I can name so many things here. But one thing that I actually tried last year, which again was like one of those modalities that just really supported me in amazing ways, was spinal energetics, which is quite a new modality to the spiritual sphere. But I was just really intrigued after I saw a video of it. And for me, it was just such an expansive modality to work with my nervous system, especially to create regulation and to help me, work through deeper layers of that piece. So yeah, I've had to do trauma work, shadow work, the lot. And, getting diagnosed with PTSD was really eye-opening because I would not have said that I had that at all. Because obviously you associate it with like war veterans and, people who've experienced really traumatic things in their life. But little did I know, I had experienced big traumas in my life. I just couldn't recall it at that time. And doing this healing work allowed those memories to come up in a safe way where I was able to process and finally understand, this is who I am. This is why I've had depression all my life. This is why I've had difficult romantic relationships. So for me, the inner work was that coming home to myself piece of, I finally understand who I am, and I finally understand why my life has been, the way it's been.
Beautiful. What is a process somebody can do to work with their own inner child?
Just start connecting to them. I think there's so many different inner child modalities out there. So, it's finding what works for you and what resonates with you. But for me, it is literally hand on heart, tuning into the heart center, calling in my inner child. I might see them, I might hear them, I might just sense that they're there. There's no right or wrong with this. And then I just talk to them. So I'll say, how are you feeling today? And I'll just listen for an answer. Is there anything you want me to know? What would you do? What would you like to do for fun this week with me? What's troubling you at the moment? So I just ask questions like that and listen to the responses. And that's such a great way to get started and to really just start to build that relationship with your inner child. A lot of the time, people won't hear answers, first of all, because they might have a really shy inner child. Their inner child might have been taught that it wasn't safe to come forward and talk. So even if you hear nothing, just going in with that intention, regularly, a couple of times a week. By week 3, you will get communication from the inner child. So it definitely requires patience. It definitely requires just showing your inner child that you're there for them, like you're supporting them. It's safe to talk to you and to build a connection together. And for anybody who's new to inner child work, it's part of your psyche. So it's a part of you that you will carry throughout your whole life. And it's such an important part to healing to allow us to connect back to childlike joy and magic and the lightness of life, because being an adult is quite heavy at times. There's a lot of responsibility and the world can feel quite heavy. So just being able to connect back to that childlike magic just opens up so much fun and joy in your life and so much healing when you can communicate with the inner child.
Yeah. What do you do to have fun?
Ooh, a few things I would say. I love my Peloton. I will say that. I do love exercise. That for me is fun. But I love painting, I love gardening, going to the beach. So, yeah.
So how can one boost self-worth and self-love?
I think there's a 3-pillar approach with this. So, for me, I feel like a lot of people just want to jump to self-worth. They're like, I want to feel confident. I want to have self-worth. I want to know my worth. And that's fantastic. But I always say you cannot embody full embodied self-worth until you have a good level of self-care and self-love. So once you've mastered those first 2 steps of self-care and self-love, it's so much easier to then embody that self-worth at that 3rd level. So for me, it's having a good consistent self-care practice, which yes, is doing things to show yourself that you love yourself. So it's more than just a bubble bath or a face mask, it's taking care of yourself and your inner child too. Then the self-love piece really comes in around mindset of how you talk about yourself, how obviously when you look in the mirror, how that feels and what words you would say about yourself. So a lot of self-love comes down to mindset work. So self-care is very action orientated. Self-love's quite mindset orientated and building a loving, harmonious relationship with yourself so that when you do go into self-worth work, you know your worth at that point and you can have that confidence because those 2 prior levels are there supporting that self-worth work.
I think for me, self-love comes back to boundaries, to not letting other people take more than I want to give. And that's hard for me as my identity is a giver. And sometimes I'll give and I'll put myself last. I had to have a practice of not eating last because I serve my family and then I'm like, oh well, you guys start, I'll eat. Even those little things, they're so essential because it's like the basis of everything. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And if I'm last within my family, I'm going to be last in everywhere. And it's subconscious for me. Oh, it's an act of love. I want to feed them. I want to make them be taken care of, but I cannot forget myself in the process, which happens to a lot of women, I think. Because as women, we are programmed to be caretakers, and especially with and that's beautiful. And we need to take care of our time, to take care of our space, to even an act of self-love that I'm doing now is going back to the gym where I never had the time. And now that I have the time for myself, I can give so much more to everyone I love and in my business and in everything because I take care of myself.
And that's that receiving piece that we were talking about earlier of, they say in aeroplanes, put your mask on before you put somebody else's mask on because you're no use if you're.
If I was on an airplane, I would be like, no.
So yeah, definitely important to, give and receive in balance, but then really look at, like you say, like how you loving yourself as well.
Yes, absolutely. What are your 3 top tips to living a stellar life?
Ooh. Dream big, definitely. Set your intentions, know what you want, because that is half of the work. We need to know what direction we want to move in and what happiness and joy would feel like for us. I would say have fun. Fun is the ultimate creator. Joy is the ultimate creator as well. So the more fun you have, the more magnetic you're going to be and the easier it's going to feel to manifest things into your life. And third, I would say, oh, there's so many I could say. I would say intention and fun and
Great sex.
but great sex, definitely. I would I would say living authentically as well. And I think that's such a loaded topic, living authentically, because it's not that anybody's living inauthentically a lot of the time. It's just that they don't know what alignment feels like to them. And being in alignment with yourself and your desires requires authentic energy. It requires pure, clear energy of knowing what your intention is and aligning yourself with that. There's no faking it till you make it because you are. And that is what the universe responds to, that full embodiment. So for me, living a life that authentically brings me joy and authentically feels good to me is the quickest way to manifesting abundance.
Beautiful. And where can people find you?
You can find me at I am Emma Mumford on all social media, and emmamumford.co.uk is my website.
Beautiful. Emma, thank you so much. Before we say goodbye for now, is there anything you want to share with the audience? Final words.
It's already yours. It's already yours. And you want it so badly because the future version of yourself already has it.
I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody that is listening and watching. Remember to dream big, set your intentions, have fun, because the more fun you have, the better. Live authentically and have a stellar life. This is Orion. Till next time.